What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new season and a new show that I am reviewing on this channel, Reasonable Doubt, on Hulu. You guys, this is season 2, episode number 1. This episode was titled "Can I Live?" Now, before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Reasonable Doubt, shall we? All right, you guys. So I did watch season 1. I can't remember who it was that asked me to review this show last season. And literally, when I was asked to review it, I think it was one episode. I think the finale was that same week that I was asked. And I was like, dang, because I remember hearing about the show, and I was like, I wish I had knew about it. But yeah, we are here for season 2, and I binge watched season 1 last season. Well, not last season. After the season wrapped, I went back and binge watched it, fell in love with it. So we're here. Now, this episode, we open up with Jax, right? So we see her and Lewis. They are in bed together. And I was like, okay, what does this mean for Jax and Lewis? If you guys watch season 1, you guys know that Jax and Lewis, they were separated, right? So then we move over to Chanel. And you guys know Chanel is Jax's best friend, who's also played by Shannon Kane, who I absolutely love. I found out about her years ago when I used to watch All My Children. She played the daughter of Jesse Hubbard. So love her. So we see Chanel. Chanel is at home with a beat up face. Her neck looked like somebody, just looked like somebody went to town on her, right? So then we see JT. JT's on the ground telling her to call the police, right? And he's just crawling. He's crawling and he's struggling to breathe, right? So then we move back over to Jax, right? And she's telling Lewis, she's asking Lewis not to go. And he said, he has to go to work. But he apologized to her, right? And then we move back over to Chanel and JT. JT is apologizing to Chanel while he is profusely bleeding out on the floor. And then he went into that forever bye-bye sleep, right? So after that, we see Jax. So Jax is in therapy, and it's been 2 months since the kidnapping. You guys remember in last season, what's his name's character kidnapped Jax, and remember he took his own life, right? So Jax says that she's feeling a lot better, that she hasn't had any nightmares about Damon in the last 2 nights, and so she's feeling good, right? So I know that the doctor asked her, has she taken her medication? She obviously hasn't, right? But she says that, she's feeling different and in a good way, right? Because she's like, I was able to get up and cook breakfast for the kids. I was able to do this, do that. And she felt, nothing, guilt if she wasn't able to do it, right? She also told the doctor that Lewis has, he's coming over and staying the night, but he gets up and leaves before the kids wake up, right? She also says that they haven't been intimate with each other. So at this point, the doctor cleared her to go back to work. And Jax, when you listen to her, she was a little bit hesitant about going back to work. So the doctor told her, basically with her to set boundaries on what she can and she can't handle. And I like that. So after that, we see Jax. So Jax went for a run. And I think this scene is what we saw at the end of last season when she went for her run and she got a phone call and she answered it. And then I remember season 1 ended with her saying, fuck. So Chanel is calling her to let her know that JT is unalived. And she said, fuck. So Jax went over to the house, and the house is, surrounded with cops, and it's surrounded with cops, and the press is there as well, right? So Jax went into the house. Now, before she went in, she started having flashbacks about Damon, right? And so she saw Chanel and she asked her, like, what happened after seeing Chanel's battered face, right? And so she told her how, JT had attacked her and that she hit him with a trophy. So I was like, okay, cool. This would be clear cut that it's going to be a domestic abuse where she saved her life. But then my brain started to think about some things. I was like, ooh, because I went back to the beginning of the episode when JT was asking her to call the police. And I was like, Chanel, girl, how long did you wait before you called the police? Because that's going to be pivotal. So I will say stick a pin in that because we definitely will be coming back to that in just a little bit, you guys. But so yeah, Jax asked her, so she didn't talk to the cops, right? And they wanted to have a conversation with her, and Jax told them like, no, she needs to go to the doctor because everything from this moment, and this is what she's telling Chanel, everything from this moment is very important, right? So then we see Jax. So Jax called Lewis and she told him about what happened with JT and Chanel, right? She asked him to meet her at the hospital. He was like, okay, but he said somebody need the kids. She's like, damn it, forgot about the kids, right? So he told her, you know what, don't worry about it. I'll go pick up the kids. And he asked her if she took her medication, right? She said no, she didn't get them filled. Now, we move over to the hospital and Chanel is in a hospital bed, right? So the doctor is just basically telling the police the extent of Chanel's injuries. She has some damage, some broken, some rib damage. We can see her face. And they said, and here's the thing. I know how they're playing. I know how the DA is going to play this, but if whoever's going to represent Chanel, this is a good thing to get her medical records because the doctor literally said she has a bruise on her rib that has been there for a week. So you can't sit here and say, "Oh, she plotted this," because if it's been there for a week, that ain't something that's plotted. That means that man has been, habitual with this. He's been doing this repetitively, right? But the after the doctor left out, we see as Sally and Autumn they showed up to the hospital, right? And Autumn told Jax about the press being outside, and they're saying online that Chanel unalived him, right? So Jax said that this is going to be a shit show, and that this obviously wasn't the first time that JT has done this, which absolutely it wasn't. If I'm not mistaken, season 1 you could tell he was abusive to Chanel. Um, but Chanel, I remember in season 1, Chanel put on a front about how perfect her life was. I remember that from season 1. So moving on. After that, Jax was telling Autumn like, hey, we got she was like, hey, I got a doctor that I'm gonna have her talk to. She's gonna go over to Sally's house. I got a driver for her. I got a private exit for her. So everything is taken care of right now. So when Jax found out from Sally that the cops were in there questioning Chanel, she went back in there. So when the cops were asking Chanel like, when did you call us? And she was like, I don't remember. And Jax went in there like, ho 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 ho, pump your brakes. Like you're talking to my client without my permission, basically, right? So she told him to just leave her alone. Like this is a woman that was abused by her husband and you're sitting here making him the victim when in fact Chanel is the victim. I was like, amen, Jax, amen, amen, amen. Like I love it, right? So we moved back. So we see Jax. Jax got home and Lewis was there, right? So she started to have a panic attack. He told her just breathe, breathe, baby. And he gave her. He said he got her medication filled, so he gave her her meds, right? And then she told him that she is Chanel's lawyer. He thinks, however, that someone else should represent Chanel, and honestly, I agree because I mean Chanel is your best friend. So wouldn't that be? I mean, I think that would be a conflict of interest, but hey, neither here nor there, right? So he asked her, "Are they still going to therapy?" Because she thought of some things that she needs to write down, and he got a little upset about that, right? And so she started writing the stuff down, and he was pissed. So he was like, fuck it, and he left, right? And she was like, I'll figure it out. So he left to go to his place, and then after Lewis left, she broke down once again, right? So then the next morning she wakes up and she didn't take her medication, right? Instead of taking her medication, she smoked a cigarette. I was like, girl, I don't know if you should be smoking them cancer sticks like that, but okay, go off, right? So then we see she went into the office, and so she hugged Daniel and Kim, and Kim was like, "Girl, what is going on with you that you hugging us? Like something is not right with this." So then they talked about what's being done with Chanel's case, right? So Mike at the DA's office, if you guys watched season 1, Mike was her friend, and remember they had the case. That was such a the ending of season 1. I thought it was good how they wrote that he got off on the case for taking out his wife, but he actually ended up doing it. That just proves what a good lawyer Jax is. That proves how good of a lawyer Jax is, right? But neither here nor there, right? So she's going to be going down to visit Mike. Now, we also see as she's in a meeting and they're happy to have Jax back, right? And she told them about helping, Chanel through the investigation. But she also told them that she wants to scale back on her billable hours to be able to spend more time with her family, right? And they were like, "So are you here permanently? Like, what's going on?" Now we move back over to Chanel. So Chanel is speaking with the doctor and having her psychiatric evaluation done, right? So the doctor came out and told Jax, what she's been told by Chanel, and that she says that Chanel is struggling with survivor's guilt, and that you know with his untimely demise, she's more focused on that as opposed to him strangling her, and she doesn't see herself as a victim. And but she also says that she's also still afraid of JT, but she's also afraid of the consequences. I'm like, I think that's pretty normal because I mean, it's not every day that's any. I mean, it's not. You would have to be an insane person to unalive your spouse and not be worried about, especially when you're being abused. Just because your abuser is deceased doesn't mean that that fear just instantly goes away. Now we move back over to Lewis. So Lewis is with their daughter Naima, and so she asked about Chanel. Did she unalive JT? Because she said I read it somewhere. So Lewis basically told her like, don't don't read it, don't believe everything that you read, so to speak, right? And he also told her that it's a little bit more complicated than what it seems. So she said she asked was her mom going to be Chanel's lawyer, and hold on, you guys. So yeah, she asked if Jasmine going to be Chanel's lawyer. He was like, "Why do you don't want your mom to go back to work?" She's like, "No, I need her to go back to work because Mama is all up in me and Spencer's business, and she rewrote my paper, so I need her out of my business." So she also told him that, "Dad, we know that you've been staying over to the house," and he was like, "Wait a minute, y'all know that?" She was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wait a minute, when did I go from daddy to dad?" Thought it was cute. All right, you guys. So your boy is multitasking. I'm recording this review and I'm working at the same time. Now we move over back over to Jax, right? So Jax went down to Mike's office to get more information about this investigation with Chanel. So Mike let her know that hey, the case is under review and the investigation it's ongoing. But he said just looking at everything right now, it looks pretty straightforward. So it looks like it's going to be a domestic violence situation where Chanel was defending herself, right? So Jack says that once her evaluation comes back, that it'll absolutely prove that it's self-defense, right? Now, while they were talking, Jax was introduced to, I'm gonna call her Miss Hard Ass, but her name was Lucy Wargo. And in my notes, it says Lucy Wargo, who is a hard ass. I don't like Miss Hard Ass, so we gonna see how we gonna. Oh God, I hope whoever takes Chanel's case. Getting ahead of myself. So Jax and Lewis ran into each other, right? They were out at some kind of cafe and they were going to sit down to eat, right? But then she got a call from Daniel, so she left, right? And before that, she was telling him like, she's fine and that she thinks that this thing with Chanel would be over in like a week, right? But like I said, She got a call from Daniel. So Daniel called Jax to let her know that so he hadn't heard back from the person that he talked to, but what he did find out was that JT was deceased for 2.5 hours before Chanel called the cops, right? And he also says that Chanel moved the body. I was like, fuck. I mean, girl, you knew that that man was in sleep lands. That's permanent sleep, right? Because I mean, that blood just was gushing from his, just coming, right? So she told Lewis, I'm gonna have to rain check this, right? Because she's gonna go have to speak to Chanel. So we see her as she's talking to Chanel. And Chanel's like, it can't be. Like, there's no way he was deceased for 2 hours, right? But Chanel said that, well, you know what? I did go upstairs and hide for a bit. So Jax asked if the detectives, when they were in her hospital room, asked when did she call the police. She said, yes, they did. She said, so what did you say? So Chanel said, well, I told them that I didn't know. But Chanel then says, but I called you first. And so Jack said, wait a minute. So you called me before you called the cops? She was like, yeah, I didn't know what to do. Jax was like, oh, God, Chanel. She's like, what? So the thing is, Chanel told the cops at the scene that she called them before she called Jax. I was like, oh, these are discrepancies in your statements. Oh, God. So Jax told Chanel the DA may want to press charges just because, one, of his status as a football player, and number two, because the inconsistencies and the red flags, right? So Chanel told Jax that she wants to, have a plea deal because she doesn't want to go through a trial and put her kids through that, which I get that. But I was like, Chanel, girl, these inconsistencies, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a plea deal, baby girl, but hey, why not try? Now we move back over. We see Jax at home, and she had a panic attack that night, right? So the next day, we see she and Lewis, they are going to couples therapy. Lewis was waiting on her. She was late. So when she got there, the therapist said, well, luckily enough, I don't have any other clients that are coming in, so we can stay later. And Jack's like, oh, unfortunately, sir, I can't stay late. I actually got to leave early because I got to meet with the DA. So the therapist asked, you guys have been separated for a year, so why are you guys separated? So Jack says, well, Lewis gave me an ultimatum between he and my career. And Lewis is like, that's not entirely true. So Lewis says what it is that she was taking on more billable hours, high profile clients who were putting her life at risk. And the energy that she was putting into that, he at least wanted her to put half of it into their relationship, right? And so he asked her, do you want to be a lawyer or a wife? And so the doctor said, so what did you expect her to say? And she said, he expected me to say a wife. He's like, no, that's not what I wanted. He said, I wanted you to say both. She said, oh, so we rewriting history now. So they started getting to an argument with each other, right? And so at that point, they were talking about, she talked about their lifestyle. She's like, well, I'm the one that have to work to keep up our lifestyle. And so he was like, wait a minute now, Jax, don't play me like I'm some kind of broke nigga. But and she was like, that's, so they got into another argument. I was like, this is just not going the way that they wanted to go. And I was like, ooh. So, like I said, they got into the argument with each other. So Jax also let him know, like, the ultimatum that you gave me, that ultimatum was very hurtful and it wasn't fair. He said, you want to know what's fair, what's unfair? He says that you been back to work and we're gonna be back to the same old bullshit. And I was like, okay, Lewis, let her know how you really feel, right? And so they got into another argument again with each other. And the doctor basically just told them, like, what do y'all want to do? Do y'all want to separate? Yeah, do y'all want to go for a divorce or y'all trying to reconcile? They both said that they want to reconcile, right? And he also did mention her panic attack, and she got pissed off about that. But the doctor ultimately told him, you know what? The fact that y'all are arguing with each other, that's a good thing. And Jax was like, how in the hell is that a good thing? He said it's a good thing because there's still passion there. And it tells me that you guys want to work on your relationship. So he said, what we need to work on is your communication with each other. And I was like, I agree with that because you can see it last season that Jax and Lewis still love each other. It's just the fact that at this point they have piss poor communication with each other. And like I said, I agreed with the doctor. So he says that they're good. Now, when they left, he was he was short with her. She was trying to say something, and he walked away. He said, "Bye, Jax," and she was like, "Damn." So then her mom called, right? And her mama was calling to ask about Chanel. She asked her, so did she actually unalive her husband? And she was talking about, I know what it's like to lose your husband after my Paul. Jax rolled her eyes at her mama. So then her mama mentioned about Chanel getting her ass, them saying that Chanel was getting her ass beat, and that he just seemed like a nice guy. And here's the thing: when it comes to domestic violence, that is the one thing that I absolutely detest when it comes to people to defend an abuser. Oh, well, he just seemed like a nice person. You would have never thought that about him. But that's 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 how they get away with it. Like, let's be for real. That's how they are able to get away with that kind of stuff, because people will be like, oh, they just seem so nice and stuff. And then I never would have expected him to be hitting her or her to be hitting him. Like, I just hate when people say that shit. It gets on my nerves, for real, for real. Like, it legitimately gets on my damn nerves. But that's neither here nor there. So her mama also let her know that she been getting some DMs on Facebook, and I was like, "Ooh, it's going down in the DM." Hey, so after that, she was her Jazz let her mama know, like, "Hey, ma, Lewis and I just left therapy," and her mama was not helping at all. Talking about how therapy didn't work for her. Okay, mama, it didn't work for you. Goodbye. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Love you. So then we see Jax. So Jax went to go see Mike, who told her, "Jax, I'm not on the case anymore." And he said because the DA is up for re-election and he wants a woman to lead the charge and guarantee a win. So she was like, "Well, who the hell is on the case?" And child, we see a press conference, and it's Miss Hardass saying that they're going to charge Chanel with first-degree murder, and they are asking the court to hold her without bail. What they're alleging is that Chanel set up the whole domestic violence thing as a this whole self-defense thing. They don't believe it. But like I said, hopefully whoever represents Chanel goes and gets her records from the hospital, because like I said earlier, and I caught that the doctor said she has a bruise on her ribs that has been there for a week. That ain't something that's planned out. That means that man was already hitting her. So it's like so weird. So Jax went to go see Miss Hardass about arresting Chanel. She was like, "Well, I thought that was your friend." She's my client as well. And so Jax told Miss Hardass, like, girl, you're overcharging my client first and foremost. My God. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, you guys. I'm recording this and watching TV, and just, wow, something fun just came across my screen. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, she's telling Miss Hardass that she overcharged her, overcharging her. Miss Hardass, however, feels that Chanel is a criminal and that she needs to put her away. I was like, a criminal? And then when she said, Jax said what she was doing was clout chasing. Baby, when she said "you people," I wanted to jump to the TV screen and say, "Wait a minute, Miss Hardass, who is you people?" Because man, you finna box in this motherfucker. Because you ain't finna talk to no. And I was like, "Oh, Jax, I want you to wipe the flow with this hoe." Oh God. So after that, we see Jax. So Jax went to go see Chanel, and Chanel asked her about a plea deal, and Jax told her at this point, Chanel, a plea deal is off the table because they believe that you did this. And she said the problem is the inconsistencies, like you saying that you called the police before you called me, but then you actually called me before the police, and then the fact that you moving the body. And she said she was just checking to see if he was dead. I was like, girl, you knew that man was deceased, but neither here nor there. So Jax left and got in her car, and she started crying. So we see as Lewis got home and Jax was there smoking another cigarette. So she told him it's been a rough day. He said it's been a rough fucking year. So he told her he thought about what happened in council, and he says that they need to agree to not give up on each other. And she told him the case with Chanel, it may be difficult, but she said, I'm not going to go into specifics with you, right? And she told him that she can't be her lawyer with all that, she's going through, because he was right, right? She says, because in order to be Chanel's lawyer, she has to be dedicated to it. But with everything that she's been through, she can't really be there. So she said that Chanel is going to need someone who will fight for her, someone who's very supportive of women's rights, so supportive of women, and understands the law. So he said, "Is that you think somebody in the firm that could represent her?" She said, "With all that I just listed, I can't think of one person in the firm." So he asked her, "Do you have somebody in mind?" So then we hear danger, danger, and we see Morris Chestnut's character, and baby, he is blowing some woman's back out. And so when they finished doing the do, he got a call from Jax, and he got a call from Jax, and so he asked the lady, "Can he have a minute?" And baby, sis got pissed and left out, and that is where the episode ended. So yeah, you guys, episode 1 of Reasonable Doubt. I absolutely enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, share the video, and until the next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So episode 2 will be up tomorrow on Friday, and then episode 1, nope, not episode 1, episode number 4 of Bel Air will be up sometime today, you guys. But I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.